And she reached up and takes one of Dave Piper's cards. I didn't have any. So I called up Dave and said, where do you get the cards at? And so he told me, and I went and got mine. And when I go to shows, if there's wood turners, I get their cards. And some of them are pretty good. Some of them, no. Here's one here from one of our members. It has price, the wood, the title, and the number. So he's using that as a price. This guy was good. This one has about how to care for your piece of wood art. Handling, care, cleaning, restoring, and movement. He's telling you that it may move. This one has pictures in the back, is what I have in mind. Here's one that the print's too small. It's hard to read. You need a magnifying glass so you want to make sure the print's up.
Yes, if you hold
And do a standard card, 3 by 3.5, because I've had square cards, people give me square cards, and not really. And this person here has a website, and they have where you can go in contact with.
Sure.
This next thing I'm going to tell you, if you remember this, you can sell anything. It's a phrase, I knew it from college many, many years ago. Don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle. How many have heard that? Basically, it was developed back in the 1930s by a fellow named Elmer Wheeler, who was supposed to be the world's famous salesman. And he created that, and they still offer courses. He's no longer with us, but they still offer courses on it. Very cheap, like $49 for a whole year, and his books are free for uploading. The New Yorker magazine, you go online and see an issue from 1938 has a very good article about him. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. What does that mean? Well, basically, if it's simple terms, Rice Krispie, Snack, Cracker, and Pop. It's the bells and whistles that a car salesman would tell you. Well, how does that apply to us as wood turners? For example, if somebody lady came up to you and said, I'd like to buy this, but it looks like plastic breaks, what's your response? She'll already tell you, it's plastic, you're not going to buy it if it's plastic. Anybody know what this is?
Potato peeler?
Ceramic. It's ceramic. So I would say, no, madam, it's a ceramic, but that's just a steak. What is a sizzle? Well, basically, if you know the product, and you have to know your product, I would respond to it, this is zirconium oxide ceramic, second only to diamonds in hardness, is sharper and outlasts any steel cutters in a cast metal frame. If you want to go further than that, you can talk about the handle, exotic wood, how you treat it, anything like that. And that's where did I get that from? Right here in the box. And that's where you got to know your product. Features a heavy-duty cast and a hose of ultra-straight, pure blade made of zirconium oxide ceramic, which is second only to diamonds in hardness. It remains sharper, longer than any steel. Well, what about a bowl? Well, a bowl is based on shape of it, finish, what kind of wood it is. For example, if somebody was looking at this bowl here, I would go up to them and say, because to them it's just a regular little bowl. But I would tell them it's very unique. This is a burl. There's no other burls here. It's a natural edge. The finish is a hand-rubbed poly, and it's very difficult wood to turn. This is bottle brush. So you got to point out what is unique rather than just a regular bowl.
I'm telling them they put burl wood on the dashboards of Rolls Royces.
Now, Elmer had 5 wheeler rights. That was number one. And the other one he talked about was the first 10 words you say are more important than the next 10,000. So, and I read where good is good. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day. And when you're talking to a potential customer, you want to be very positive. You can ask them positive questions. Like, what do you think of the show, or how's the weather, or what do you think of this turning? You don't want to say anything negative, like, I've been here 2 days, I haven't sold anything, and it's this lousy crowd, the weather's terrible. You don't want to do that. The third issue that he brought up, a real point, was that to demonstrate, but to demonstrate to sell. And a couple of years ago, I was at the show, and it just started. They opened at 10 o'clock, and people were just trickling in. There was one woman in the booth, and I saw her, she had a pepper mill. I'm doing this with it, looking at it. So I went up to her, good morning, do you have a question? And she says, yes, how do you put the pepper in? Well, now you got a demo. So I took off the lid, showed it to her, and I showed her now, I'm going to sizzle with this. The inside sanded, blown out with a high pressure hose, and then the mechanism is stainless steel made in USA, and you put your pepper in here. You want to coarse, fine grind, you go clockwise, coarse grain counterclockwise, and always turn this way. Don't go back and forth because that helps retain the grinding. She bought it. So that's how you demo. The third one is a little different. It's kind of upselling. What he said was, if you're offering something to a potential customer, give them two choices. And in other words, this bowl's nice, but this one's better. That's tough when you're doing a show for the club, because you got Gary's bowl and Bob's bowl, you're not going to outsell them. But I had this happen. I was at a show, and Mike came up to me and said, look, there's a fellow over here who wants to talk to you about one of your military bottle stoppers. And I went over, I said, sir, can I help you? And he says, yeah, can you possibly make some kind of adjustment on this? Well, he's asking me to discount it. I said, well, I have this other one, it goes on the top, but it's the mini stainless steel for $5 cheaper. I gave him a choice, and I just walked away. I didn't make the choice. He took the bullet, not literally. But the next one is watch your bark. Is how you say something to somebody so you're not rude. And we'll just go back to this illustration. I went to the fella, and I didn't say, hey, no way it's going to happen, buddy. You're out of your mind. What I said was, gee, I'd really like to help you, but right now with inflation, and these are double the cost, and so on. But then I gave him this as a choice. So it's saying no in a nice way. How about selling at a craft show? One of the things that, when I'm at a craft show with the club, there should be two people in there selling, but I like to work the front. Try to get people in. Now, I'm a military veteran. I wear my hat. If I see somebody else, I go up and talk to them. Marines have a saying, once a Marine, always a Marine. So I go up and talk to them about it, get them into our booth. Because I sell military, Jerry sells military. If they're in the Army, I'll go out and talk to them about their time of service. So the idea is to get them in there. If they're, I carry a Spectre Ply bottle stopper. If it's a sunny day, I like to show them this. Because when I don't know if you're familiar with Spectre Ply, but boy, in the sunlight, these really shine. And then I have another bottle stopper I like to show the kids. And this is weird. This is a burl from the Florida Keys. And it has a natural face in it. Got eyes, nose, mouth, eyebrows, everything. So I show the kids, their parents are there, I get them in. I'll pass it around and see if you can find the face. You need a magnet piece, something to attract, to put in the front. Some large turning, something's unique turning. Like Gary has those look like boomerang turnings, or something with filled with resin. So that'll attract people as they're passing by. Let the customer handle the turning. That was what you always went on to handle the turning. I don't know now with the virus how that goes. If it's a large piece, at the last show there's some large pieces, you want to handle it. And if it's a piercing, you want to handle it. When I used to do the shows, I wouldn't sell it, I just let it go there. And I got a piercing I was holding, and Lee Sky comes up and says, Jim, you got to work from the top and the bottom. I always remember that. And a few years later, ago, we had one of our members, and a woman came up, and she grabbed it and smashed it. Question. She said 2 words, sorry and bye. So if there's any big turning, it's heavy, or if there's a piercing, you want to handle it. If there's kids, don't let kids handle anything other than a top or a yo-yo because they want to play with stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things I think, and there may be some disagreement, but small items like pepper mills, salt mills, bottle stoppers should all be put together, kind of right in the middle there. If we got 4 or 5 people selling bottle stoppers, put them together. I've seen some abuses. I remember one show where 2 ladies picked up, or a lady picked up 2 bottle stoppers. I know she's going to buy them. And her friend runs up there and says, oh, there's more down here. She put them down and off she went. So if they're all together, then you can make a decision on what they want. This last show, Jerry and I had a military ones, we had them together. And you can get a display case like this and everybody put one in and put it out front to attract people.
That's why the furniture stores and car dealers are all clustered together.
Yeah. Well, it's like the pepper mills. You know, if I got a standard grind and Lee's got a crush grind, then show them how they work and let the people make the choice. Selling strategy. When you're selling, you should have some kind of strategy. Over the many years I've been selling, I found that the majority of my customers were females. And they don't want to spend a lot of money. For every man, I'll have 3 females come in there and buy. I've seen the husband standing out there holding the bags and the women in there shopping. So, and they don't want to spend a lot of money either. So most of my turnings are under $75. I might have the pepper mills that, but most of them are under 50. You know, bottle stoppers, I have ring holders, I turn mason jars, tops. I have some small bowls that I sell. I call them my $45 bowls. And I sell a lot. I do pretty well. And then I see other people, well, gee, I didn't sell anything at the show because they got stuff, nice turnings for $200, $150. If they sell them, that's great. But that's my strategy. I create an Excel spreadsheet. I list everything on it that I take. I have a description. That way, when I come back, I take an inventory and I know what I've sold. And so then I know what I need to order. If it's spec ply, if it's the military bullets, I know what I need to order in the future. So I keep this list. Charge, cash, or direct deposit. If you're gonna do cash, I used to price my bottle stoppers at $18, $23, $27. But what happens is, unless you want to carry a lot of singles, put them at $5 increments. So now they're $20, $25, and $30. Just much simpler. If you use a Square, Clover, PayPal, email, starting this year, if you do over $600 or more than 200 transactions, it's going to be a 1099-K to you and the IRS. Plus, there's a fee for doing it. I like the Zelle. It's much easier. You get it right on your phone. It'll tell you right when it's been deposited. And I had a fellow at the last show, he pulled out a credit card, I said, do you have Zelle? He said, yeah. So I used the Zelle, because there's no charge. No 1099 yet, but it may be coming.
It's coming.
And,
See?
you're supposed to report your fees anyway, right? And so it's much easier. Knowing your product. You gotta know your product. If it's a bowl, as I explained earlier, what's unique about that bowl when you deal with a customer? If it's a bottle stopper, explain it, and explain it to stainless steel. You should not be doing chrome bottle stoppers. When I first started, I did chrome bottle stoppers. I gave one to my granddaughter. A few months later, I'm over at her place, and she said, look, Grandpa, it was all rusted and pitted. So I got rid of all the chrome. So nothing is all stainless steel. And I've done about 300 of these. I do a lot of them. If the wood is spec applied, I love to show this in the sunlight. It's incredible. And they have names. They all have a name like Bumblebee or something. I had some big ones that my wife said they won't sell. I sold them out the first day. So for spec applied, I always like to take it out and show into the sun. Whether it's these or a peppermill or whatever it is. I sell it, Rita sells them, Jerry sells them. Also, if you get peppermills, you want to explain to any customer that they're stainless steel, made in USA. They have a lifetime warranty. If it's a salt mill, explain it as ceramic. Don't use the word plastic, because that's a turn off. If the turning is done with a Rose engine, you should know how that works. Dave Piper has a Rose engine, and he turns this. And that machine's been around for hundreds of years. Came out in 1470, so it's nothing new. But you should know how to do that, because if you're one of the salespeople, and Dave's got some products in there, explain it to him how it works. If it has resin, explain how the process for resin is done. Make exotic wood exotic. I keep saying, I was in Virginia, and I ran in Blacksburg at a show, and I ran into a turner, and he told me, you know, if you can get me Norfolk Island pine, I'll come down there with a truck. I didn't want to explain to him, in the state of Florida, it's against the law to move untreated wood more than 50 miles from where it's located. I don't know if anybody knew that, but they tell people don't bring firewood down because of the little bugs and diseases. So, and we're bound to take wood into Dade County, Miami-Dade, it's a no-no. So, but when we have wood, put the name on it. If it's almond, put tropical almond. I see a lot of rosewood. The rose we have here is Indian rosewood. Instead of putting mahogany, make it exotic. Tell what it is. The primary rose mahogany we have is two names, Cuban or West Indies. We have African. I do Honduras. Philippine mahogany is not a member of the mahogany family. I put Cuban mahogany, so if I'm at a show and somebody's looking at it who's from Cuba, that's impressive. They want to buy that rather than just put mahogany. Well, it's Cuban mahogany. With fruit and nut woods such as mango and avocado, I mean, you don't put, if it's mango, you don't put a Hague or Tommy Atkins on it because the wood's the same, whatever tree it comes from. For further information, go to the wood database on the internet. It's great. I have a bookmark. Tells you about every species and gives you a whole description of what kind of wood it is, if it's easy to use, if it's rare, where it comes from, what they use it for. It's a great source.
Tell the story how you came by the wood too.
Yeah. Pricing your work. This is the most difficult question I faced. When I first started selling, I went over to Lee. What should I sell it for, you know? Well, basically, it's whatever you get for it. The formula for pricing is price minus cost equals profit. course, you know, if you find the wood along the road and the only cost you basically have is what, if you're selling it there, the cost of for the club. If you own a business, now there's a lot of other factors in there, such as labor, overhead, utilities, rent, equipment, depreciation. I work for a city that has over 5,000 businesses, and every year you had to get an occupational license. It was a moneymaker for the city. But you have to do that if you're paying. And again, pricing your work. I've seen highs and I've seen lows. I try to stay with the average. The last show, Jerry sells military bottle stoppers. And we were setting them up. And I said, Jerry, what are you selling your bottle stoppers for? He said, $35 each. I went, uh-oh, mine are 30. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to sell mine because they're almost identical. So I went back and I repriced mine to 35. And Jerry and I both sold, and I got $5 more for each one. So it worked out well for both of us. I've seen extremes. I remember one show that we had pepper mills, $75 to $100 range, and whatever our members had them for $60, $65. He sold about 6 or 7 of them right there. So, selling the product. If you're at a club and you're selling for the club, you're there to sell for everybody, not your shares. Probably a good idea if you're selling, not even be selling if you have things for sale. The salesperson must know the product and be a little aggressive. Sometimes I see the salespeople just standing there rather than trying to get customers in and show them the work. If they want to negotiate a price, just like that fellow wanted to negotiate the price, you got to get the person that made the product. You can't do it for the editor. If somebody's in a area, try to avoid annoying them. Don't breathe down their neck. Let them look if they have questions. Come see me. I used to like to go buy cars with my wife and just go in a car lot. You know, we talk about it now. You take in an elevator up to a big garage and the sales guy's there, and you really don't have a chance to discuss it with your wife. And one of my bottle stoppers sell. I have these little bags. It's a nice touch. And I have a business card in it. And I have 2 different sizes, one for the larger ones, one for the smaller. It has a card in it. And if somebody takes that home, they may throw it away, I don't know. But if they're sitting there and saying, hey, this might be a good present at a wedding, you know, a gift. And I got the card there, well, it's worth it. If you have price tags, don't mark through a price tag. Put a new one on there. And check your price tags if they're old and faded. One thing I noticed at our shows, it kind of irritates me. And I don't really know down to approach it, but I see more in the second day, but we have our members in there talking to other members. And I see customers trying to look over their shoulder, get around them. If you're going to talk, go somewhere else. I see them standing in front, and there should be 2 people in there selling, and maybe 1 person in the front bringing people in. But don't stand there and talk. Go somewhere else. Sometimes buyers ask for a discount. It's up to you. You want to do it? If you got something you want to get rid of, yeah, you can discount it. I've had people look for flaws on it to get a discount. So it's like this fellow here with the discount on the bottle stopper. It's up to you. I give discounts to my friends and people that come, like the lady I was telling you about comes every year, spends $100. Yeah, I give her a discount. And they're artists. If they come in and got a badge, I'll give them 20% discount. I had a lady at one show tell me that in the bottles, I mean, pepper mill, she says, you know, I get these for $25 online. I said, yeah, you can get for $10 if you buy 500. I said, but they're made in China, bamboo and some cheap wood. Mechanism probably fail after a dozen times. So, buy, shop around. This is something that I go out and buy items. We not only sell, we buy items. I found this 3/4 inch cube online from California from the store for $11. And I went, wow, it must be Chinese, right? And I got it, Sheffield, England, for $11. And they were selling regular price, but every once in a while they have one of these. Like I go in there and see something for another for $5 or $10. By the time I call, they were gone, you know. So, these camera chimes for the military. I was getting these for $1 each.
Can you pass that around?
What is it?
Pass it around.
Pass it around?
Pass it around so people can see
Oh.
it.
What, this?
One of the others, yeah.
Military.
Get the bullet. I was buying these they were selling for $1.10. If you bought 10 or more, you got them for $1. They didn't have glue in them. And now they went up to $1.95. So now they got glue, which I wish they didn't have because I put my own tacky glue in it. But I found a place, I get emails from various suppliers. I found one, they got it for $5.75 each, which you get for $1.95 or less. 3 times as much, so you gotta shop around. Wood River pepper mills, for $15.99, they're kind of unique. What they do is they have a grinder, then they have 4 posts. They have a 6, 8, 10, and 12. So make your choice. I found another place on the internet selling for $34.21. I buy a lot of stainless steel. I found a wholesale, one of our members told me about it. Wholesale in the state of Washington. And you can buy one or you can buy 100. I bought 100 at a time. And they're like $2 or $3 cheaper than what you normally would get from a supplier. The bags I was explaining these. There's one supplier right now that sells these for 99 cents each. And I'll buy them for 26 cents. But I buy 50 at a time. But so I get 4 of this other ones do that. Also visual. For example, when you're selling something, I sell these mason jar lids I turn. But I put one of these, so if somebody sees it, they're making a visual connection, which they can use it for. And this is a candle holder. What is better, having this or having this thing on top for visual? When we did the orchid show a couple of years ago, everybody's buying orchids. I went and bought an orchid, put it on the stand and put it in there. Give people buy an orchid, hey, maybe they buy one of these. One of the things I tell my grandchildren, and I want to share it with you, is I tell my grandchildren, if you haven't learned something new today you didn't know yesterday, you wasted the day. So, anyway, that's it. Appreciate your experimenting with the PowerPoint.
Did good?
Great job.
Did a great job, Chad.
Great
Really
job.
good.
Nice transitions.
Can I throw in a couple quips from all my sales experience?
Yeah, sure, okay.
I've been doing home repair, remodeling stuff for decades, and this one realtor, she would send me out to some of the places she was selling or buying and that, and doing some repairs and stuff, and she knew I did wood turning. And she saw wine bottle stoppers I used to make. She goes, oh, I want to get a couple of those for some of my friends. So I'd bring 7, and she'd always end up buying 5. So, and that went on for a long time. And then one day I got an idea. I said, Don, when somebody buys a house from you or you sell one for somebody, you give them a bottle of wine. She goes, all the time. I said, that's gone in one night, and a week later they don't remember where they got it. You give them one of these with that. They're using this 2 or 3 years from now. They remember where they got it. So then she started buying 40, 50 at a time. And as far as the kids at shows, when kids come up, and you can tell, I always go, you got to be at least this tall to touch the stuff. And their parents go, yeah, that's all. And they go like that, I go, no, it's cheating, next year maybe, then they don't touch the stuff, so.
I got a solution to that.
Yeah,
You give them something to touch.
yeah,
I
that's good.
have, like there's one thing that I do, it's become a bit of a joke, but I spent an inordinate amount of time looking for fake food that looked real.
Yeah.
You know, to like put on cheese boards and whatever else. And anyway, this stuff looks comical, but.
Can you speak
so
up?
I settled on grapes, fake grapes, you know, like my grandma used to have them, and I put those out, and the kids, immediately it's a magnet.
Yeah.
I tell them, you know,
Give them something they can touch, like fake fruit or spin tops work good too.
the grapes, the fake grapes are brilliant. They love them. Well, then there's a joke too, you know, they're chewy and they don't taste very good.
Chris works on something.
Yeah, when we do the shows, we usually got a lathe set up, usually a small 12-inch, and we make the spinning tops. And we,
Oh, yeah.
we can knock one of those out in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we give them to all the kids to play with on the platters. And they're playing with the platters, and we're talking to the adults.
That's right.
3 minutes.
It'll take you so
Takes
long.
me like 12 to 15.
Well, you're just not in a hurry.
Well, I just